Most parents are wary of the so-called heavy metal music.
Salut à tous, METALXS, c'est l'essentiel de l'actualité métal et dérivé en quelques minutes, le tout en images, en musique et en interview. METALXS est une exclusivité Refix by Crédit Mutuel, la plateforme de toutes les musiques, tous les talents en partenariat avec Artforce. C'est parti! Il y a un an, Ozzy et SHARON OSBOURNE annonçaient Back to the Beginning, un événement majeur qui devait se dérouler le 5 juillet 2025 dans l'enceinte du stade de Villa Park à Birmingham, la ville où toute l'histoire de Black Sabbath, d'Ozzy Osbourne et plus globalement du heavy metal a pris naissance. Un an après la mise en vente des billets qui aura mobilisé 3 millions de personnes pour 100 fois moins de places disponibles et l'ultime concert d'Ozzy, décédé une quinzaine de jours après, les deux artisans de cet événement monumental, SHARON OSBOURNE et le producteur et manager Andy Copping, se sont retrouvés au Midem 2026, invités par le plus grand rassemblement musical professionnel au monde, à Cannes, pour évoquer l'événement d'une vie, rendre hommage à Ozzy, parler du passé, du présent et surtout de l'avenir du rock et du métal dans une industrie en bouleversement permanent.
Good evening.
Pour animer ce partage d'expériences entre SHARON OSBOURNE, la plus célèbre manageuse au monde, et Andy Copping, le promoteur britannique et créateur notamment du Donut Festival, c'est une personnalité bien connue du métier en France, Olivier Garnier, responsable de Réplica Promotion, attaché de presse notamment du Hellfest, qui accompagnait les invités dans l'orientation de cette conversation et recueillait cette parole très précieuse. METALXS vous propose de retrouver pour la première fois les plus larges extraits de cette rencontre au sommet.
It's time to go back to the beginning.
It's over 30 years ago. Ozzy was in retirement and Lynn Seeger, who's here today actually, and has worked with SHARON for a long, long time. And I'd known Lynn for a little while. And Lynn said to me, oh, Ozzy's coming back, he's coming out of retirement, he's got a new record, and I've recommended to SHARON that she should talk to you about helping with the promotion of Ozzy coming back. This is on the Osmosis album, and that's when SHARON, I went to the house in Buckinghamshire in the UK, and I was meeting SHARON for the first time. I met Ozzy for the first time. I just remember he'd been out on like a dirt bike on the grounds, and he turned up with the door. He's got like a crash helmet on, and I'm thinking, that's fucking Ozzy Osbourne, because with a crash helmet on, and it's just amazing. For me, I was a big Black Sabbath fan back in the day, and then Ozzy had been fired from Black Sabbath and nobody really knew what was going to go on. And then the first thing that we heard, which is amazing when you think about it, the first thing we heard of Ozzy coming back was the track Crazy Train. And I just remember as a fan hearing Crazy Train for the first time thinking, oh my God, this is just going to completely change the face of rock music as it was, and it did. Introduction of Randy Rhoads, nobody knew who Randy Rhoads was other than like, this guy is an absolute demon on guitar. And obviously the Blizzard of Oz album was, and still is to this day, has stood the test of time. So, and going through, and I saw Ozzy play at the Monsters of Rock Festival in 1984. He was third on the bill. It's AC/DC, Van Halen, Ozzy Osbourne, and he was incredible that day. And we were, again, talking about it earlier. He was going down that well that he wouldn't come off stage. Sharon was like, keep going, because the audience response was incredible. And then I saw Ozzy a few times after that, and then getting the opportunity to work with Ozzy and Sharon, 30 odd years ago, was monumental for me. And we've been friends ever since. And I've worked, with Sharon and Ozzy on different projects since that very first time I met Ozzy in a fucking crash helmet.
Une collaboration dont le point culminant sera ce concert Back to the Beginning le 5 juillet dernier.
I mean, for me, when Sharon first contacted me, which is probably nearly 2.5 years ago now, with the idea of putting on a special show specifically for Ozzy to say goodbye and thank you to the fans, but also getting the original members of Black Sabbath together. Excuse me, I'm getting emotional because it meant so much to me that Sharon trusted me to get involved, but also, the original members of Black Sabbath, including Bill Ward, was just such a special thing. We worked very, very hard to put it together. We got a million stories on how we finally got there. But for me, that show was up there with Live Aid. It was up there with the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. And for rock and metal music, we'll never see anything like that again. To have all those amazing festival headliners, stadium filling acts all on the same bill on one day was amazing. And what a great thing for all of those bands to be there and paying tribute to Sabbath, but in particular to Ozzy. It was just an amazing day, something that I'll never forget. The hardest thing I've ever worked on, but the greatest thing I've ever worked on.
What do you think of a big farewell show?
If I'm going to go up there, I want to be up there. The old Ozzy thing.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you anyway, but it was such a magical day because you had all of those brilliant musicians there with no egos at all. They didn't care where they played. It was just about going there to celebrate the music and to celebrate Ozzy and Sabbath. And it was magical, and that's why I think Andy's right by saying it'll never happen again, because this was a celebration of that genre of music.
When we started working, I went to see Sharon in LA, and we put the list together of the acts that we were going to approach. And when we started, or when I started, I put the first call I put in to was Metallica, because I was thinking, well, we've got the original members of Black Sabbath. If we can get Metallica, getting the other bands is going to be easier. Like, why would you not want to be on this event? And contacted the Metallica camp. They came back virtually straight away and said, yes, we're in. And then we started working down the rest of the list, and there were one or two bands that approached us too, but a lot of it was all confidential because we didn't want this to get out until we did the announcement. And Slash and Duff, they came in really, really early, said they were going to do it. And I'd gone to see Duff. He'd done a solo show in London, and I was saying, "Oh, it's really great that you do it. You and Slash are doing the show." He says, "I think Axel will do it too." I said, "We're going to ask him." And of course, they asked Axel, and he was in. So we suddenly went from just having Slash and Duff on the bill to Guns N' Roses. And when you look at everybody who was on there. Tool, Slayer, Gojira. It was just incredible, and that's even before we've got into the two super groups that we had, which was just amazing. And then when we did do the launch on the 5th of February last year, everything went into meltdown because the news just spread across the world. And when we went on sale with it, I mean, it was definitely bigger than I thought. We had over 3 million people try and buy a ticket for that event. And we had, 35,000 tickets to sell. It was amazing. I mean, we could have done 10 nights in a row there, but it was all about doing one special event, and we achieved that.
Comment s'est réparti le choix des reprises entre les musiciens?
That was all left to Tom Morello, who was the musical director, and it needs one musician to tell another. It's not for management, so between them they worked it out.
Yeah, it was interesting because obviously Sharon and I originally started the process, and then we brought Tom in, because there's no question about it. Being able to speak musician to musician is a lot easier. It certainly took the pressure off Sharon and I in terms of going, who's playing what.
We were the good guys.
Yeah, we were the good guys. We kind of left it with Tom. And in fairness to Sharon, she was so good in she'd given us the brief on what she wanted with this event, and she literally just left Tom and I to get on with it. And we had, fairly regular Zoom calls, and we were, Tom and I were updating Sharon on what was going on. And she was an amazing boss, because she just let us get on with it. And thankfully, all the bands were, as Sharon mentioned earlier, they just left their egos at the door. I mean, I've never seen such camaraderie amongst bands. We see it at festivals. I'm sure you guys see it at Hellfest. I certainly see it at Download, where the bands are kind of all hanging out, but then they go to their little compounds and stuff. Back to the beginning, everybody was in and out of people's dressing rooms. I mean, Ozzy's dressing room, it was just like a revolving door of people going in before the event started. And it was just amazing to be involved in something like that and seeing all those huge bands. We were talking about it earlier, actually. The last time Metallica had supported somebody, I think, was like 1991. Guns N' Roses, same. I think the last time they'd supported somebody was the Rolling Stones in 1990. Tool would never, ever play in daylight. You would never see Tool playing in daylight. And we just didn't have any of that stuff, we want to play above them and everything else. They just accepted they were going to be part of history. And they all had a valid part to play. And it was just magnificent to see that. We were seeing musicians just being musicians and enjoying one another and really encouraging each other. They were all at the side of the stage watching each other play and just cheering other along. It was just magnificent.
Pour ce projet, il était impensable que l'événement se déroule ailleurs qu'à Birmingham.
Yeah, it couldn't have worked anywhere else. It had to go back to the beginning where the music came from. It came from that, wonderful industrial city, and what they used to produce was metal. They were all metal factories there. And so it wouldn't have worked anywhere else. And Ozzy's house, where he was brought up in, was literally a small walk away from Villa Park, and it wouldn't have worked anywhere else.
We were under a lot of pressure. People were saying, you should be playing this at Wembley Stadium, and why aren't you doing one in LA, and why aren't you doing one in New York? And Sharon was firm on why it should be in Birmingham. It was so obvious. And we could have, of course we could have done Wembley Stadium, but the whole thing was about taking the band back to where it all began. Like all of them lived within a stone's throw of Villa Park, and it just made everything just more special. The fact that this band were going home. I mean, there's another part of the story that it was just going to be the original members of Black Sabbath, and then Sharon dropped on us a few weeks out that Ozzy wanted to do a set as well. I said, well, yeah, he's doing Black Sabbath. She said, no. Ozzy wants to do a solo set. And I went, are you sure? Abso-fucking-lutely. And then so we had to restructure all our timings and everything else. And, Ozzy obviously did his, did his set, and then there was a little break, and then Sabbath went on. I mean, just so many stories about the whole event, which is just really, really moving. There wasn't a dry eye in the house when Ozzy first came up. I mean, I sobbed my heart out for the whole set of Ozzy, and that audience response to him was just incredible.
Certains se sont amusés à dire que le rock était mort, mais Sharon et Andy ne partagent pas du tout cet avis-là.
It's amazing to me that people still are saying rock music, God, will it continue, will it last? It's not disco, it's not a gimmick music. It's, it is from the soul. And that's why you just have to keep it going and give these bands a platform, the new talent a platform. Because for me, it'll never go away. And there's nothing like seeing bands playing their own instruments. I always hated boy bands because they just would sing and dance, and it's like, what are you doing? It's silly. And you see these guys making the sounds that they make from a piece of wood and strings, and you go, how on earth did they do that solo, And the same, with the drummer, the bass player, and it is a great art form that unfortunately people look at it as the bastard of the industry. You're bastards, nobody wants you, And that's people that are not on the street. They're removed from the street, they're in their offices, they're in their chauffeur-driven cars. They don't get what is actually happening. And two, the press is very against it, mainstream press, because they just want the next big thing. That's all they ever want to write about. So it's been hard, but also now seeing all those bands that started in late 90s, still going, they're filling stadiums now.
Linkin Park, System of a Down, it's amazing. And there's no question the vision that Sharon had with Ozzfest basically brought rock music kicking and screaming into the modern day. Ozzy was always relevant and was even relevant right the way up to and including back to the beginning. But it was the way that they were nurturing new talent and giving them a platform. And, you mentioned Monsters of Rock, finished in 1996. But interestingly, Monsters of Rock hadn't moved with the times properly. When you look back at some of the bands that actually didn't play Monsters of Rock, Faith No More didn't play it, Soundgarden never played it, Red Hot Chili Peppers never, Rage Against the Machine. So all that from that early 90s, none of those bands played at Monsters of Rock Festival. So when Ozzfest came to Donington in 2002, which was an incredible success, again, System of a Down on the bill, Disturbed, was an amazing lineup. That inspired us to launch Download Festival, and I've been extremely vocal about it. If it wasn't for Sharon and what she'd done with Ozzfest, there would have been no Download, because we needed to bring a festival back on an annual basis into Donington, because it's a great site to put on a festival. And we were bringing new bands through. So I'm sorry for copying you, but it was so good. We had to copy. And obviously, you know, Download's gone on to be a great success. And, you know, Ozzy played it, you know, Sabbath played it. And we've seen, you know, a lot of the early bands that were on the Ozfests, you know, Tool headlined, System of a Down headlined, Linkin Park headlined, Korn have headlined. And we're certainly seeing how rock music is nowadays, because as you say, a lot of those bands are in stadiums now and headlining festivals, which Linkin Park kind of always had, although they're having a huge resurgence. But seeing System of a Down selling out stadiums now, it's incredible. And all that's been born out of, you know, what Sharon and Ozzy did with Ozfest. And, you know, Ozfest was born out of the fact that Lollapalooza turned down booking Ozzy.
Yeah, they said, oh, this music isn't relevant, you know, it has to be grunge. Yeah, right.
So she properly took the piss and said, okay, fuck you, I'm going to launch my own festival. And boom, completely crushed Lollapalooza. So, yes.
So come and get it. It's all about the he says, she says bullshit. I think you better quit, let shit slip. So come and get it. Take me down to a paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Take me home, yeah. Once you cut me open just to watch me play, gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be. We're just a bunch of fucking animals. Translate, everybody jump around.
Dans l'histoire des festivals, il y a 40 ans, une affiche était constituée de 6 à 8 groupes par jour. Aujourd'hui, ce sont des week-ends entiers avec des centaines de groupes qui jouent simultanément. Est-ce que l'époque n'est pas à la quantité plutôt que la recherche de la qualité?
Well, I dispute that a little bit. I think the way that the scene is nowadays, more and more fans, they want to discover new acts. So you go to a festival now that's got multiple stages, all different levels, and yes, over a weekend, over 3 days, 4 days, whatever, you've got the opportunity to see the bands that you want to see at the top level. They're always going to be there, but you've also got the opportunity of discovering new talent. Like you're walking around the site, you might go into one of the other tents because there's a band that you want to see, but you get in there early and you might see the band performing before them. And we've seen it many a time at Download where people have gone, yeah, I went to Download this year, and you know, I saw Korn and I saw Marilyn Manson, I saw Linkin Park or whoever, but I discovered, you know, 3 or 4 new acts, and they've now become my new favourite act, which is, as a festival booker, that's exactly what you want. And you want people to come and discover who are going to be the headliners of, you know, the next few years. If we look back, you know, with Slipknot, I think Download was the first major festival to give them a headline slot. Same with Bring Me the Horizon, same with Avenged Sevenfold. And these are all bands that have worked their way up the bill at all festivals. And now they're seen as bona fide headline artists. And it's important that for festival bookers, whether it's Download, whether it's Hellfest, whether it's Wacken, whatever, we need to be bringing them through. And so we've got more acts to pick from at that headline status, and it feels it's a great achievement when you have somebody. You know, I remember booking Bring Me the Horizon when they were literally a nothing band. You know, were on the small stage, and now, you know, they headline Download. They've headline Reading Leeds in the UK. I know some of the European festivals are now booking Bring Me the Horizon as a headline act, and that's what we've got to do. And it just shows how buoyant the scene is.
ready for the greatest night of your life?
Tous deux sont managers. Pense-t-il qu'il est plus difficile aujourd'hui de lancer de nouveaux artistes avec la nouvelle donne du streaming? Et quelle est la part du live dans l'avenir de ces jeunes musiciens?
I think it's all about live shows. It really is, because, you know, the record industry is so tiny right now. You know, a friend of mine had a number 3 album in the charts just before Christmas. And I said, how many did you sell? 8,000 to get a number 3 album at that time of year. I mean, it's minute. And all of the streaming services are great. But first of all, the money that the artist gets is nothing. It's a joke. And it's ruined that whole thing of discovering a body of work in an album that really, you know, you get what that band's about by listening to the whole album, not just a track that you think is good or whatever. It's you know, the music industry now is touring. That's what it's about.
It's totally flipped on itself. I mean, particularly, you know, nowadays, artists of all different genres are getting, you know, discovered on TikTok and other, social media. But certainly with rock bands, you've got to be able to deliver on stage. You know, when you look at your peers and you see it nowadays, bands are trying to improve their shows nowadays. They're putting on. They've certainly got to play the music, got to have the songs, but also they're putting on great productions, and I love seeing that competition amongst bands. I mean, when Rammstein came along and just they kind of set the bar, certainly with their presentation, but you know, so many bands now where they can see the money coming in, which is from touring. You've got to be really fucking good. And you've got to be able to be putting on shows and tours, and it's got to be better than last time. And that they are doing that, and that's really their big source of income, from the touring, from the merchandise that they're selling on tours. Merchandise is massive for artists nowadays, and it's just really unfortunate that the recording industry is still, you know, I feel that they're just stuck in the dark ages. You know, they were really slow to respond to punk rock when punk rock came in the mid to late 70s. They didn't really grasp the idea of CD, compact disc, and then they did. It's like they jump on things like really late. They were anti-streaming, and now they're jumping on streaming, and they're taking the lion's share of the money from streaming. It's disgusting, really. And they want ownership of the artists' songs and their artists' music.
They want to take, so many of the bigger record companies today want to take a portion of the artist's merchandise and touring.
Cela demande-t-il de se battre en permanence pour défendre le droit des musiciens?
And you have to be really, really hard. But the thing is, what upsets me is that you get these artists and they're so young, they're so naive, and they've got their dream, and a lot of them will just sign anything. They don't know, they just want to do their art, and it's very hard to see that happen.
It's incredible that still goes on to this day, that, you know, bands that start, artists that start out, you know, playing in the bedrooms, playing in the little rehearsal rooms and writing songs and everything else. And it's, we just want to get signed, we just want to get signed. And invariably they sign their lives away. And when you look back at, you know, some of the bigger artists, whether it's George Michael, Prince, all like started pushing back against the record companies. And we sit back thinking, well, you're super rich, and why are you even bothered doing that? But it was their art was being bastardized, and some guy in a suit is telling them that, well, we own your music. It is disgusting. Artists need to take more ownership of what is theirs, what they've created. I shouldn't be in the hands of some fucker in a suit that invariably gets fired and moves to another record label. And I think that we are seeing that starting to change. It's very, very slow, very, very slow. But thank heavens, certainly on the rock music side, that they have this live vehicle, and the fans who just love seeing their favourite bands live is there to help them financially.
Now, I think too, since COVID, people appreciate it more because they know what it's like to be stuck somewhere and not have that experience of great live music. And now everybody wants to go from one show to another, which is brilliant.
It's interesting because COVID, when that happened, I mean, us in the live music industry, we thought we were done. Like, that was it. Are we ever going to recover from the fact that people can't go out to shows? Are they suddenly going to get into a frame of mind where, well, we don't, we're existing without going to shows? And when finally kind of COVID didn't go away, but suddenly everybody was allowed to go out again. Oh my God, it was like the floodgates opening. We'd actually forgotten what people's resolve was. Yes, we want to go out. Yes, we want to be entertained. Yes, we want to go and see great bands. And literally, since those doors, they got smashed open, it's been non-stop. And more bands are touring. They're touring more regularly now. And more people are going to see them. I've never known that the live industry be as buoyant as it is right now. 5 years ago, we didn't have a business. We were completely shut down. And it's incredibly encouraging that after COVID, that the live music scene's come back bigger and stronger.
And too, I want to go back to the thing about record companies. They are always the last to get onto a trend. Now, since now everybody wants to go back to having their stereo system in their home and they have their vinyl, record companies tell you, 4 or 5 months it'll take to get vinyl. Then open a fucking factory yourself and press them up. Why not? They have the money for it. And no, they just drag. It's ridiculous that they can't turn it around quicker. And two, with social media, everybody's doing it themselves, which I'm like, more power to the artists that can do that.
Depuis de nombreuses années, on voit des artistes se réfugier derrière l'anonymat ou refuser de s'adresser directement aux médias. Cela pourrait-il affecter le lien privilégié que les artistes avaient avec le public?
No, I don't think so, because it depends on the band. So many, even though you can be a frontman to a band, so many artists, because they're so creative, are shy. And they don't want to be hugged. They don't want that one-to-one. And that's fine too. And some bands want to keep that mystery up and be able to have a life and go places without being mobbed or whatever, and they love the mystery. So there's something for everyone.
Love me anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely room for both. There's no question about that. Obviously, we've seen the advent of more anonymous mass mass bands and going on to amazing success. You know, I'm very lucky that you know, I'm involved with the management company for Sleep Token and President, and we've seen the meteoric rise, particularly of Sleep Token having the global #1 album last year, which is fantastic. And yes, very anonymous, don't do interviews, and they have that kind of separation, which weirdly their audience love that and appreciate it. Then on the other hand, and this is where it's going to, there's room for everything, you have an artist like Youngblood, who is the new, like, modern day rock star. This guy wants everything, and he's so engaging with his audience, and he acts like a rock star, he sings like a rock star, he plays like a rock star, and you know, and there's obviously complete room for him too. He's just going to flourish. I mean, there's no question what happened back to the beginning when he came out and did changes. I think people's attitude towards him just totally flipped. And I even saw it myself. I saw it at the rehearsal the day before Back to the Beginning, where he like walked out and they rehearsed that song. It was one take. They only ever played that song once before in the rehearsal before he did it on the day. And there was loads of bands around, and they were kind of looking like, who is this guy walking out? Like old road crew guys, everybody. And he started to sing that song in rehearsal, and people stopped working and were like, holy shit, what is this? And he absolutely smashed it. And I went up to him afterwards at the rehearsal, and I went, that was incredible. If you are half as good as that tomorrow, you are going to bring the house down. And I mean, he was 4 times as good as he was in the rehearsal. And it was the same thing. I think you could tell the audience when he walked out, it's like, you know, who is this guy? And absolutely smashed it. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. For me, it was like the Queen at Live Aid when they came on and they absolutely smashed Live Aid. That was what Dominic did, you know, with Changes, and his career just has gone off like a rocket.
It was, and worldwide. That went worldwide, and it was just instant. And then you were getting phone calls from everybody going, who's his manager? Who's his agent? We want to sign him in America. What's this? And I'm like, well, it's actually been going to America for the last 5 years. Where have you been? And it's just amazing how it was like a flick of a switch for him.
Youngblood a été la révélation incontestable de Back to the Beginning. Le 1er février, à Los Angeles, il rendait un vibrant hommage à Ozzy et aux créateurs du festival lors des 68e Grammy Awards.
To grow up loving an idol that helps you figure out your identity, not only as a musician but also as a man, is something that I'm truly grateful for. But then to get to know them and form a relationship with them, honour them at their final show, and receive this because of it, is something that I think we're all finding so strange to comprehend. We fucking love you, Ozzy. We would all like to thank Sharon, Jack, Kelly and Amy for this opportunity. Everyone at the Back to the Beginning show, the whole band with me right now, where 6 generations of rock musicians came together in the name of our genre, in the name of Sabbath and in the name of Ozzy Osbourne. I want to thank my team and on behalf of everyone, all their teams. I deeply love this genre. It's all I've ever known. We want to dedicate this, and I want to dedicate this to everyone in the guitar shop I grew up in, and everyone in a guitar shop or a bedroom with a dream. Rock music's fucking coming back. Watch out, pop music. We're going to fucking get you. The last time I saw Ozzy Osbourne, you asked me if there was anything you could do for me. I answered the music was enough, and I can safely say on behalf of all of us that still stands now and it will do forever. You'll be with me every time I'm nervous and on stage at every show. God bless rock music and God bless fucking Ozzy Osbourne.
La chanson Changes résonne particulièrement pour Sharon et Andy, et encore plus depuis juillet dernier.
03 that Ozzy and Kelly had it at #1, and Charles Barkley, Eminem, so many people have recorded this song with doing their own versions of it. And it just goes to show that when a song is brilliant, what it does.
Don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just keep on going through changes. I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes.
I mean, it's over 50 years old, that song. I remember hearing it for the first time on that album. The album that's got like Supernaut, Snowblind, and then this incredible ballad that has just stood the test of time. And Sharon said all those people that have covered it, and then it to be the pivotal moment at back to the beginning. And there's the bit at the end that when Youngblood was singing and the song had stopped, and he goes back out to the crowd and gets them singing the chorus back. And I mean, again, very, very emotional. He said, I did that because I wanted Ozzy to hear the crowd singing that song in his dressing room. And like, powerful, so powerful.
I'm going through changes. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Birmingham. God bless Black Sabbath. God bless Ozzy Osbourne.
You can't help but like him. He's got a great vocal range. He's a great performer. And I hope that, it goes on for years and years for him.
When somebody comes into the room, when you're in the presence of greatness, and there are only a handful of people that do have that. You certainly knew it when you were in the room with Ozzy. No airs and graces, was friendly to everybody. You just the first time you speak to him, you feel like you've known him forever. He was so warm. He'd make you feel comfortable. He'd have you in hysterical laughter, sense of humor incredible. But he was one of those special people. And Youngblood's the same. When you're in his company, it's impossible to dislike him. He's just so engaging, and he has got a great career ahead of him.
This show will still go on, but I need a little something to remember you by. Will you cry if I call you my angel?
Quand on observe une telle révélation comme Youngblood, c'est à se demander si le talent s'apprend avec le temps et les efforts ou s'il est inné.
You're born with it. You're absolutely born with it. And it's something you can't bottle. You can't reproduce. And we think of, a handful of classic artists from the beginning to now. There are so few. But it's something that will never end. There'll always be those people out there.
Tell me what you want from me. Tell me what you need from me. Tell me what you want.
Sharon a-t-elle ressenti qu'Ozzy transmettait un flambeau à une nouvelle génération?
Always, he always did. From the very beginning, it was always to find the youngest bands, other than Lemmy, which of course, was a best friend to Ozzy. But it's always about passing that torch along, keeping the music alive and current, and you always do that.
L'envie de ne jamais rien lâcher et poursuivre l'œuvre d'Ozzy se traduit par un projet d'envergure. Le Ozzfest reprendra en 2027.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to do it. It's we've been wanting to. Well, the last one we did was 2018. It was just a month before Ozzy got sick, and that was at the Forum in LA. And there was no plans to stop it. We were still going to do it, but Ozzy couldn't. And Ozzy and I would talk about it, and he'd say, "Do you think Ozzfest would work without me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a brand. It will work without you." And he said we should do it.
Mais il n'y a pas que ce projet en vue.
Ozzy's keyboard player, Adam Wakeman, his father's Rick Wakeman, and actually he came up with the idea of doing a classical version of Sabbath. And then we said, great, he's converted the music into classical music. And then I said, we need guitar players to come in at some point. You need that. So we're going to bring in about 4 guitar players to play together. And so people see the original version and the classical in one night. And we're going to do it with state-of-the-art graphics and state-of-the-art sound system. Go to major cities, pick up the local Philharmonic.
We're thinking about launching it in the UK, hopefully at the Royal Albert Hall, and that will be obviously a great springboard for, as having it as a touring entity. It's actually very, very exciting. I mean, it's interesting. People's first thoughts are, Black Sabbath and an orchestra, is that going to work? But they said that about the Black Sabbath ballet. I mean, ballet and Black Sabbath music, is that going to work? I went to the show, the ballet show. It's unbelievable how it's made that transition. I didn't know what I was going to see when I got there, but there's literally ballet going on, and there's this thunderous soundtrack, the Black Sabbath music, and they've got there's interviews with the band going on in the background. It's very hard to explain, but if you get the opportunity to see that it's well worth going to see. And the orchestral side will be another step further on from that. It's very, very exciting.
Et pour conclure, Sharon Osbourne dévoile un événement plus proche qui se tiendra au Hellfest en juin. Une statue en bronze du Prince des Ténèbres qui fera 6 mètres de haut et se situera à l'entrée du festival où il s'est produit 4 fois dans sa carrière.
Oh, there he is. Look at him, a rock god. That is going to debut at Hellfest, and that is June 18th. And the whole family will be there to see it, and it's such a great tribute. It's amazing. So, I can only thank Ben. Just bless you. It's amazing piece of art.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, 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 very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
La carrière d'Ozzy est indissociable de celle de Sharon, et la ville de Cannes lui rend honneur en clôture de cette rencontre exceptionnelle.
My name is Thomas de Pariente. I'm deputy mayor of the city of Cannes. I'm so nice to meet with you, and thank you so much for this amazing talk. On behalf of Mayor David Lisnard, for all you've been accomplishing, for the fact that everything you do embodies what the spirit of Cannes is. We are so honored to present you with the diploma of honorary citizen of Cannes. Should I add that the last recipient of this award was Stuart Copeland. It was 2 years ago here at Midem, and thank you so much for attending it. We're so proud to maybe be able to say that from now on, you're like part of our family.
You know, the first time I came to Midem was in 74.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we used to come every year.
So the place have changed. But we hope that the spirit of Cannes remains the same, and thank you so much for attending it.
À noter sur vos tablettes les sorties discographiques récentes ou apparaître dans les prochains jours.
So what you gonna do? And I am still with that. But the thing came by something back. And there is no other. Can still smell the beer on the floors as he stands from the bloody noses. Are you alive? Or is it just thinking? How many more shots can I take? Hey, you're dead! For another! Oh, we're burning down and burning. Oh, now I could be without you, my when I was born down in a ditch. Future faking this, I'm not winding you up. I got tunnel vision, I got tunnel vision.
Voilà, METALXS, c'est terminé pour aujourd'hui. On se retrouve très très vite pour un nouveau numéro avec toujours plus d'interviews et de contenus inédits. Un immense merci pour votre fidélité et n'oubliez pas de prolonger l'expérience métal sur fx.fr. Salut!